Hello and happy Friday. So I'm glad to be back. I ended up with just a little bit of a cold and such, and so I thought, well, if it's hard for me to talk very loud or whatever, it's not going to be a very good experience for you guys either. So feeling good, and then I had to get busy because I've scheduled so many events this month that was kind of like go time every day, was trying to plan, prep, design, and with that, like, I can't ever guarantee like how long it takes to design each card. I usually allow at least an hour at least if all goes well, and then the cutting depending on how many people are coming. And speaking of that, Monday night, if you're in the area around Medelia, I do have just a few spots left for that class at the Medelia Public Library. Let me know, or I can let Tracy knows. She's a contact for community ed there in Medelia at the public school, and so I do have a few spots left there. So that is what is in my weekend plans, is cutting for that event on Monday. But yeah, there are still a few spots left, so if you kind of had it in the back of your mind, and maybe now with the weather being rainy and such, maybe if you're a farm girl like I am, I kind of breathe a sigh of relief, like, oh, the guys aren't going to be out in the field Monday, they won't miss me when I have my class, and this time of year I never know when it's going to officially start. They did start a little bit last week Thursday, so that's kind of where we're looking here on the farm. So yeah, let me know. But today I have some fun cards for you here using the Fluffy Squirrel bundle. Hi there, Kathy, thanks for joining in. So yeah, sometimes what I like to do is show different ways to use the same products and have them look totally different. And so today I'm going to make one of these cards for you, but kind of show you the difference that way too. Hi there, Jennifer. Thanks for joining in. So let me get my camera turned around and show you better, closer up here a little bit. Get my light going. And here we have the Fluffy Squirrel cards. And so depending on where you have taken classes, these might look familiar. And same layout, I just changed up a few things, and I'll explain that more as I go along. And the Fluffy Squirrel bundle is in the current mini catalog on page 49. So yeah, you can see super cute. I love the samples that they've used there. And like, I wouldn't think of putting pecan pie and the pretty peacock together, like those colors and such, but yet I love this. So then I'm like, okay, well, maybe for the next thing, that might be what we're going to be seeing in the next event. So yeah, it is pretty fun, and I think he is kind of easy to put together. But then of course, what do? I take easy and then step it up, and so the cards became a little bit more tedious. Not terrible, but it just lots of little pieces and parts to make things come together. So I'm gonna see if I can zoom in a little bit on my workstation. Sometimes I can do that while I'm recording. Whoops, and then sometimes it gets just to be too big too, and I don't like that. I'm gonna see if I can get just a little bit more there. We'll see. Hi there, Joyce, thanks for joining in. Might have quite a few people watching today just because it is raining outside, and what a better way to spend a rainy day than crafting. And boy, I need to spend some time in my craft room. So the Fluffy Squirrel bundle here, I just showed you the page, but a pretty decent sized punch. So the punch has both the squirrel and the acorn, and then the squirrel that we punch out will be this one. And then if you don't mind not being able to punch out, you can add an interactive squirrel, so they can be having a conversation towards each other, or you have two different views going on that way. And then let's see, go nuts, it's your birthday. I'm going to be using that. Can't wait to see you again. May you gather happiness. And then this is kind of fun for like a background, and I already have a different video queued up ready to show you a different squirrel card after today down the road. And yeah, just these little pieces and parts that I'll be using here to show you. So that's what that looks like for the Fluffy Squirrel bundle. And the price is $43, I think, for the bundle. Yeah, pretty sure. Okay, so how this card will start here is with the pecan pie base. Oh, so Lori, I didn't know that about your dad, that he loves squirrels. And so recently I did a different card at an event, and somebody said like their daughter, I think it was just having a crazy time. Everything was just going crazy in her life, out of control. And so she made this card, and she just cut off the "It's your birthday" and just cut it off, so it said "Go nuts," and thought, you know, she needs a card of encouragement. So that person was going to send her card out right away because it was like perfect for the occasion. So there you go. Now you have something for your dad. So when I went to layer for my next layer, that timeless plaid, and I want to tell you about that. I'm going to see if I have my little, yeah, I have my partial pack. I had packages of my timeless plaid, and now I'm down to like that much, which isn't a lot, like 8 sheets in there maybe, and just my scraps in this one. But the timeless plaid, if I can show you, might make more sense. This is the one that was in just the spring mini catalog not too many months ago. So it kind of has some fun designs, the plaids and the checks there together. And so I have like this design was in there, and then this one. And what makes this kind of different to the timeless plaid is just the plain variety. When you flip over the back side, and like I often do, to see, okay, what exact color of ink or cardstock coordinates what's on there. And like you can see, the list is like 12 to 15 colors on there. So that alone made me go, you know what, I'll have an easy time using this up. So it was in the mini, and now the timeless plaid designer series paper I do have on hand, a couple stacks I've been bringing to classes if people want to pick them up as cash and carry. And otherwise they can be found online as an online exclusive. So when they were done in the mini catalog, they moved to online exclusive. So they are still around. Sometimes when things move to online exclusive, out of sight, out of mind, it can easily be missed. So I like to let people know that the timeless plaid 6x6 is still around. Hi there, Donna. Good to see you. Okay, so for this one, I cut this 3 by 5 1/4. And so that way we can make 2 cards out of one 6x6 piece. And then from the same, I think it is, yeah, the same piece here is the other extra strip. So I cut to that 5 1/4 by 3/4 inches. And so I can just put that down. And then I'm going to show you on my other one, I just cut it a little differently, and then when I went to make my second one for a class, I thought, wow, maybe I want to add more paper, like longer. So this one, the actual measurement is still 3/4 and still 3 inches, but this is actually 5 inches. So you can kind of see there's just a 1/4 inch difference where there's maybe more pecan pie showing. And I did ask my husband, I said, okay, I just did this one. Does this one look okay? You know, did I come up with different colors of the present, and did that coordinate and match well enough or whatever? He goes, well, maybe it's because I'm a guy, but I kind of like the blue one better than that. And I think this one appealed to me a little bit more. Maybe that's the girl thing. So yeah, so just the cutting, I don't think there's a right or a wrong, but just 1/4 inch going up. And so like I said, 5 1/4 instead of 5 inches on this one. Otherwise they're the same for the strips and everything. So this now I can set aside for a little bit. And then what I did do ahead of time is took my Nested Essentials dies and cut out this fun shape. I just love my Nested Essentials dies. I use them quite often just because they've got some great shapes in there. And I'm going to pull out my Memento Black ink, and I'm going to ink up this little stump here, kind of about at the place where this is almost going to touch on either side. So I kind of want to have it down so my squirrel doesn't get up too high in the air. So I'm just going to set that aside for now. And then let's pull out my stretch paper here, my little piece. It's about, just so you can kind of gauge how big the squirrel is, 2.5 inch strip of basic white. And I'm going to ink this squirrel up. It's like two stamps to achieve the squirrel, but I think it's kind of easy. It's photopolymer, so that helps. So this is the outline there. Yes, you could take your blends and color in, but what I'm going to do is take my pecan pie here and take the solid squirrel image. And that's why I want my Stampin' Pierce mat here. I don't know, I did see some people bought this yesterday on the 15% off sale because that was part of the sale. And then because this is larger, I find like trying to line up my nose and ears on the squirrel tend to give me better results. But you're still going to have some white showing here and there, and that's okay. Like, you don't have to have it perfectly lined up, but of course as close as you can when you're doing things like that. So that's how I had good results on that. And then where's my punch? Oh yeah, I was like, I know I had it because I showed it at the beginning to show you what was part of the bundle. All right, so then I can just slide this in at the top here and make sure the tail's in, the feet's in, the arms in, all that. And then we can give that a punch. So very nice. I like it when Stampin' Up! Gives us punches. Okay, so then, like I said, there's lots of moving parts on this, and then I have to remember kind of what order did I do things. So before I put this one down, I'm going to do a little bit of coloring, and since it's just a little bit, I'm not going to zoom in with my camera to help you. But the colors that I'm using are the Neutrals line of Stampin' Blends. I really like that we have them for the neutral tones. So my darker color is the Stampin' Up! SU 200 and the SU 600 for the lighter. So I'm going to start with the lighter one first, and I'm just going to kind of scribble color. And this is something that I said to some of the people at class, I am not good. I am a very much fill in all the blanks and lines. Like, give me a square and I'll double up coloring so that everything's colored. And when I did this, I was proud of myself because sometimes I see people that leave little white spots here and there and don't color it completely in. And I like that look. So I just left a little bit on purpose because it's kind of a fun, natural tone looking. So like I said, that was with the 600. And then with the darker color, I'm just going to go over all of those dark lines that the Stampin' Up! Artist has left. I'm not going to outline the stump at all along the edges like I normally do, but I'm just going to go down those crease marks for the stump there that way. And then I'll flip this over, and this is now, whoops, ready for some dimensionals. Instead of grabbing the dimensionals, I grabbed the top off. Can you tell I trim my nails? I'm used to being able to grab those with my nails. Okay, so now I have got those on, and then this is going to go pretty close to the edge here, and I'm just kind of trying to center it from top to bottom there. And now the squirrel's also ready to put on top of the stump here. So I'll put a few dimensionals on top of the squirrel here, like so. And take those tops off. And then he's on here like so. So it kind of looks like he's eating. And I should send one of these to my sister because she has a squirrel that's so naughty where she lives that she has named him Robbie the Squirrel because of that. And then I'm going to need a couple acorns. So I'm going to take here my acorn stamp and just ink that up here. And on the other end, just on this strip here of basic white. And this strip, we'll need the measurement later, is about 7/8. So as long as your strip will fit into your punch here, that's all I'm concerned about now. But we're going to use the same strip to do our sentiment. So I know, like I said, people will want to know what that is. So that is just stamped in basic black. And then I'm going to take these same two colors of markers and just use the lighter on the base of the acorn. And there too, just kind of filling in about 90% of that, or 95, and leaving some white spots because it kind of just has a fun little natural look. And I think because the squirrel is kind of a whimsical little thing, then it kind of adds a little whimsy to have acorn's not colored in all the way too. I'm going to see if I can show you closer in the camera. You can see missing white spots, and maybe for some of you that might bother you, but I just thought I'm just going to show a little bit of a different look. And then with the same piece of paper here, I'm going to take the present and ink that up in the Memento Black. And then for this one, I use the Old Olive Light and Dark here for the present. And then otherwise, everything has been the same for coloring in the acorns, the stump, and the squirrel and everything. And this one I used Cajun Craze. I almost thought Calypso Coral, but I used Cajun Craze to color in that present there. So before I cut it out, I'm just going to take the darker of the Old Olive and go over the bow. And then with my lighter color of Old Olive, I'm just going to go over the present like so, that way. Okay, and then fussy cut that, so bear with me. But sometimes I like to either cut it ahead or have it like partially done or something. But when people say, oh my goodness, we have to fussy cut, I try and make the projects, you know, a little bit easier so it's not terrible. But this is pretty basic to just kind of cut out this little square. It makes it pretty easy. All right, and let's do our stamping of our sentiment right away too, and then it's kind of a finish line of assembling here. So go nuts, it's your birthday, stamping that in, oops, I want it to be that way, in the pecan pie. You know what, it looks a little crooked, so I guess I was meant to stamp on this side. And what I noticed with the stamp is I felt like when I first used it, like the go was up a little bit. Now this, I don't know, maybe it's because it's going down, but this one doesn't look as bad. And it's almost like the stamp, the way it's made, it has just a little kind of quirky whimsy to it. So I did notice it didn't seem like exactly straight. But then I was like, well, was it the way I put it on the block? Even though I didn't think it was the way I put it on the block. Okay, so now to put all of this together, this is the fun part. So let's start with a present, and I'm just going to take a mini dimensional because that present's pretty tiny. I love that Stampin' Up! Gave us mini dimensionals because they're perfect for projects like this, for the present and the acorns. And I'm just going to tuck that underneath his paw here so it looks like he's holding a present. And then for the go nuts, I'm just going to put a little bit of adhesive on one side here and then grab some dimensionals. Put that on the other side because half of it's going to layer over top and then the other half is going to need to be popped up to make it equal. Okay, now before I get this ready to put on here, let's pull over, here it is, that new twine, or not twine, it's called Irregular Weave Trim, and I'm loving this. This is part of that Amber Autumn Toile Sweet collection for fall, and I love it. Even somebody said that kind of looks spooky, which I can see that, but I just love how this adds just a little bit to our project. So I'm just gonna make a V, kind of like so, and then you don't need too much because you don't want it to go underneath or hang out the bottom of our sentiment. But then I'm just going to take and put just a dab here of adhesive, and that's going to stick in there like so. Okay, and then this is all ready to stick on there like so across the bottom. So go nuts, it's your birthday, and we have that little thing sticking out. And then let's grab some more mini dimensionals and put those on the back side of the acorn. Like I said, a little putsy, but oh, it's just so cute and fun to work with this. And I love that the punches out these acorns too. So we've got a little space there to add an acorn. And then we're going to tie the acorn theme in over here onto that die there. And then it leaves us with some room to put some embellishments. And so you'd be surprised, but a lot of times I will lay a card down and I go through like my container. I have like a clear tray of all the current embellishments, and it's amazing when you might see pink and go, why would she pull out strawberry slush and pretty pink gems for her card, especially if the flap is down? But the clear looking ones at the top have kind of like a gold foil in there that matches so well with this pecan pie. It's great to use that with it. So I'm just going to take like the large one here and put that there, and then up towards the top. And on purpose, I'm grabbing some that have a little bit more of that like gold foil flecking in there, just because then it pulls that out. But you can see how well that coordinates. And then I used those same gems here on the other color sample too. And then for the inside, making that really easy, but tying things together here, just pulling out 4 by 5 1/4, and may you gather happiness. Just going to look that up in basic black, and then also that acorn, I'm going to bring that back and just put that next to it there. You could, you know, make a couple more down at the bottom or something of the acorn, because that's really easy to stamp out. And if you wanted to go ahead and color that in, you could. Sometimes I feel like, oh, I like to make multiple cards, and time-wise, like, do I want to just color that in, or do I want to just make more cards, right? Okay, and that's going to tuck in the inside here like so. So the only difference, like I said, between the two, because they're both using the Timeless 6x6 plaid, both are pecan pie card bases. And then as far as the accessories, the only thing I swapped out was using Old Olive here for coloring in the present versus Cajun Craze there. So it is kind of amazing. Oh, this wants to pop off. Here, maybe I just didn't get it stuck down well enough with the dimensional. So yeah, it's amazing how different things can look, but I love to show the dual purpose when you buy like one pad of the Timeless Plaid 6x6, how different your projects can look, but you don't need to have all sorts of extra things when the same thing will do the trick for both cards there for you. So let me get this turned around here. So I hope you guys have a great weekend. Like I said, I've been busy with classes, but that just means I have lots of projects piled up. And so depending on how far I get in planning for my class on Monday, I think it would be great fun if I could come live, because actually, do I have a sneak peek? Yeah. I've been making all sorts of like treat bags here with the spooky Halloween bundle. So like I want to show you how I put together these little treat bags, and the people oohed and awed over the ghost pumpkin and bat candies that I got from a big bag at Sam's Club, but we're also finding them at Fairway and Walmart. People are chiming in and letting me know. And then these cute little suitcase treat boxes. These are adorable. These are on the last chance list for like $7.20, I think. But I'm going to show you how to assemble these as well. So just fun little treat things to look forward to coming up. So like I said, I just can't wait to have more time to show you some other projects too. But Monday, hope to see some of you at the in-person class at Medelia, and have a great weekend. See you then. Bye-bye.